July was not the month I was expecting to have. I started July thinking I was finally getting out of a months long reading slump. After 3 really good months. And somehow I ended up only finishing 4 books. Now, I don't think 4 books is bad. But compared to what I had been reading and what I wanted to read for July surprised me. I had 5 books on my TBR from my first episode of Chain the TBR. I read one of them. So it was a interesting month. Now, the month started out great. I started the month, I was reading the Half-Blood Academy series. Hold on, who is that by? Meg Exumi X. Now, this is a whole series. I read it as one book, like as a box set. But it was written as one book. Like, it was chapter 1 through like 90 or something. And it didn't tell you where the books ended. So I'm counting it just as one book read. This series follows Marigold, who's taken to an academy where humans don't survive unless they have some god's blood in their veins. This is where she meets the 4 demigods who run the school and fight the war against the demons who are trying to take over the world. And she discovers that she's far more than just human. Or even far more than just human with a little bit of God. Now, this book made me laugh. It was a fun binge read. It was a really interesting premise, but the characters felt underdeveloped. It was hard to emotionally connect with anyone. I never really was I'm invested in this story. And Marigold was just inconsistent through the book for me. Some of the words in the spicy scenes were not my favorite and made me cringe quite a bit. And it just wasn't fully my cup of tea. But I did finish the series technically. It was 1,000 pages. So it was 5 books, I think, maybe, and it was split up into so they're 200-page books. I would to summarize it, I would say it's a funny but shallow fantasy with inconsistent characters. And that's exactly what it was for me. I ended up giving it a 3.5 star for the whole series in total, which isn't that bad. I then picked up the one book that was on my July TBR, Anathema, by Carrie Lake. And Anathema follows Maveth, a young woman who is believed to be cursed by her deeply conservative village. When she flees into the Eating Woods and enters into another world, Zavander finds her, a man who's also been cursed since infancy, but believes that Maveth is the only way he can break his curse. Now, this book, the character writing, adored. Maveth's sharp wit, loved it. The relationship between Maveth and Rakaya, Zavander's sister, I adored. I keep on saying I adored, but I loved it. It was so fun. Zavander is frustrating, but relatable. And the ending made me want to pick up book 2 immediately, which I ended up doing. The only thing is it took me about 30% until I could really get into the book. It took me about a week to read 30% of the book. And then once I reached that 30% mark, I finished it in 2 days. My quick summary review of it: slow start, but incredible payoff. Fantastic characters. So then it's mid-month by this point, and I'm picking up Eldritch by Carrie Lake, which is book 2 in the Eating Woods series. If you know me, you know I love when a series picks up directly after the first book. I mean directly after the first book. And Eldritch does that. you continue the dual POV of Maveth and Zavander, while also getting an additional POV from an already known character in book 1. We learn more about Maveth's history, but also Zavander's history and what he went through before they met. This book was much more character building than world building, where book 1 was a lot of world building. Again, I was really interested in trying getting book 3 as soon as possible, but it's not released yet, so I gotta wait. And my biggest con of this book was Rakaya is not as prominent, which was really upsetting. Again, it took me a little bit longer to get into it again, and I think that's partially to do with just Carrie Lake's writing style, but also I struggled to get through Zavander's flashbacks, not just because they were hard topics, but I wasn't invested in them because I was more invested in the current timeline. Until I realized Carrie Lake was doing something really smart, and there was a correlation between what was happening in present time and what was happening in the flashbacks. I should have never doubted her. I'm sorry. But once I was able to recognize that, they felt less disconnected. But I also feel like there's a disconnect between book 1 and book 2, and it was written in a way where nothing, you're not really supposed to foreshadow it, but that kind of upset me. I would have loved to see some foreshadowing in book 1. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts about these last 2 books, make sure to check out my Can I Read Actual, or How Long Does It Take Me to Read an Actual 12 Hours? Because in that book, I read Eldritch and my last book of the month, which is Youthjuice by E.K. Sathu? I don't remember. And this is a horror book who follows a new employee, Sophia, at a popular skincare company called Hebe. Sophia is asked to test a new product that is a miracle worker and heals her scarred hands. But when she learns the gruesome secret ingredient, she has to decide how far she is willing to go. This book was truly unsettling for me. And it addresses the question of how far are you willing to go to stay young? The main character, Sophia, ends up being pretty morally gray. It does have a slow open, and I didn't really get into it until about the 50% mark, which is a big plot point that happens. I ended up giving Youthjuice a 4-star, but it was kind of right on the verge of a 3.5 and 4-star. If I gave it a 3.5, it would have been rounded up to a 4-star wherever I couldn't put half stars. Based on reviews I read of this book, there are other books that talk about this social commentary a lot better, and I may end up looking into those, but I wasn't obsessed with this book. I don't think it's a book I would pick up and read again. My 6 month later kind of review for this, or my quick summary, would be it's an interesting concept. There's minimal payoff. Had me shouting at the end, but also pissed off. I was not in the mood for reading. I just couldn't get myself to pick up books. I'm struggling so far in August also. Because, wait, what other books did I have? I had Queen of Roses, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Oh no, I did read 2 books on my TBR because Anathema and Youthjuice were on here, so I'm gonna give myself a high five for that. Then The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I don't know. I kind of just struggled to pick up books, but I ended up gaming a lot more with my friends, which is nice because it's been a while since I've done that. For August, I'm not doing any readathons, but I might try and find one for September to try and keep my reading motivated more. But that was my really quick July wrap up. I know there was not much in there to talk about. Let me know how your July reading went down in the comments below. Give the video a like, subscribe if you're interested in hearing more about what I read, and I will see y'all all next time. Bye!